Good morning. My name is Anthony Weiner, W-E-I-N-E-R, Democratic Congressman representing Brooklyn and Queens and a member of the Energy Committee. I'm here with Congresswoman Nydia Velazquez, V-E-L-A-Z-Q-U-E-Z, Democrat representing Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn, and the chair of the Small Business Committee. We're also joined by Craig Michaels, M-I-C-H-A-E-L-S, Counsel for Riverkeeper Incorporated, and many local residents, and I could list them all here. I'm not sure, John, which of the residents are speaking, but you'll give me a clue. You know, we are standing here on a beautiful day in one of the nicest communities you'll find anywhere in New York and anywhere in the United States. But if you didn't know, hadn't been in the community a while and hadn't read the history, you would probably not know that we are standing amidst the largest environmental disaster in American history. We are standing above a subterranean oil and chemical spill that covers dozens of acres, up to 55, maybe even more acres around this area. You would not probably know that generations and generations have gone while this disaster, 1.5 times the size of the Exxon Valdez oil spill, has existed below the feet of the citizens in this community here in Brooklyn and Queens. And for years, the community has said, I can't imagine that this can't be remediated. We can't fix this up. We can't solve this problem with a little bit more speed than we've been doing it so far. By way of history, this area, one of the most industrial areas perhaps in the entire country throughout much of the 20th century. As a result, it was a place where, in an era that predated many of our environmental laws, that companies would dump toxins, dump oil, and dump just about everything else under the sun here in the waterways and the land. We don't know with certitude who did what when, but we know that for citizens of this community today, the problem simply must be solved. So Congresswoman Velazquez and I today are calling in the big guns. Today we are asking formally for the Environmental Protection Agency to designate this as a Superfund site. The result of that would be not overnight things changing, but it would be the biggest of all arrows in the quiver of the environmental laws being brought to bear here. Up to now, the State Department of Environmental Conservation, sometimes working with alacrity, sometimes working slowly, has been the agency in charge. Up to now, Exxon, as part of a consent decree with the state, has been involved in doing a cleanup. But according to the documents released by Nydia and myself from the EPA just 1.5 years ago, if the current spill is cleaned up at the current rate, the estimated finish, being optimistic, would be 2026. That's when it would be fixed. Meaning that it would take 50 years to clean up this site. That is simply unacceptable, and all of the community residents that are joining us here today, and Senator Joe Lento, who is joining us as well, are here to say that is simply not enough. Now, some will argue that, well, the Superfund Act, it's not going to mean that milk and honey are suddenly going to flow through the streets, or it's going to be sunny and beautiful every day, or with the snap of the fingers this problem is going to get solved. But what it is going to mean is another set of eyes and ears on the site, another checkbook that will be available should it be necessary, and another enforcement agency making sure that when Ezra here grows up, he'll be able to say that he was there at the press conference that finally ended this. And hopefully it's when Ezra is in elementary school, not graduating with his PhD, that he'll be able to say it, and that's the objective. Now I'd like to introduce perhaps the Congress's foremost advocate for making sure that this work gets done. When I approached Congresswoman Velazquez when I was a member of the Transportation Committee and says, what is it that we can do? She said, study, funding, remediation, in that order, and we've been trying to tick off that checklist. The Congresswoman for the place we're standing, Congresswoman Nydia Velazquez.
Thank you, and good morning everyone and all the residents. Again, thank you for your activism on this issue that is so important. Of course, Anthony Weiner, not only as a member of the Transportation Committee, but most importantly now as a member of Energy and Commerce. He has been able to bring this issue to the forefront, and working with Chairman Green and another member, an influential member of the Energy and Commerce Committee, Hilda Solis. This is what we are saying Joe Lento, Assemblyman Joe Lento. We all know that DC is working hard. In fact, 4 of the sites that we told EPA in our letter that should be designated as part of the Superfund has been designated by the state as part of the state Superfund. And it is in great response to the work and activism of Assemblyman Joe Lento and the Brooklyn and Queens community that have been fighting for so many years. My friend, you know, here we are one more time. And this is about the public health of our community. And it seems to me that a year and a half ago, when we asked EPA to study the issue, and when they came out with the study that they released, it demonstrated that they found high rates of benzene vapor in local businesses. Well, they just stopped at that. But we cannot expect much more from the Bush administration. You know, it is common sense and it is logical that the next step for the EPA to take was to recommend and to make sure that this site be included or be designated as a Superfund. We know that we might not have the money that we need right now, but we do know that coming November and January, we might have and we will have a new administration in the White House. We are going to use every tool that we have to make sure that EPA does right by the people that have been most impacted by this human and environmental degradation. This is a real tragedy, and it's just unbelievable that here we are spending $2.5 billion a week in Iraq. We are building hospitals in Iraq. We are building schools in Iraq, but we cannot designate this site as a Superfund. So we are going to use every tool that we have. And why this is important? Because if we are able to get this site to be designated as a Superfund, all the resources and all the force and the power of the federal government will be used to expedite the cleanup of the Newtown Creek site. So I once again thank the community and thank Anthony Weiner for joining with me and doing this. We are not going to stop, and I guess that one thing that the EPA and the federal government should get once they get this letter is to know that we're not gonna stop here. We will continue to work to make sure that justice is brought to the people that are in this community and that for too long has been impacted by this human tragedy. 25% rate, a higher rate of asthma, respiratory illnesses, higher than in the rest of the city. If that doesn't tell the federal government much, we will. Thank you.
Thank you.